Welcome back to Mysticalcraft. So I know that I said in the last episode that we were going to start off in a creative testing world. Went and grinded, that's where my mine is, and I got everything for a nether portal. I was like, okay, great, let me just go grab a flint, grab an iron ingot, and craft myself a flint and steel. But I forgot that we have mods. And I don't know what mods we have. So I actually was able to figure out in my downloaded data what mods I had and actually looked up how to make steel, because the steel ingot is craftable, but it doesn't come up in the crafting thing. I don't know why. It's 2 coal and 1 iron makes 2 steel ingots. So we are able to go to the nether, and I thought that that would be a fun thing for us to do, because while I do want to include both of the new nether wood variant things, I really want to make this where the villagers aren't gonna walk in, but also I don't want mobs to get in there. So I think what we're going to do is move somebody's bed and replace the door with a fence gate. So I think that we're gonna put it here. We're gonna take out this bed and put it in a different house, and then we're gonna make it in here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. So yeah, I just realized a couple minutes ago that I have no idea what mods are actually in use, because one of them is supposed to change what overworld mobs look like. So it would change the chicken, the pig, and the cow, I believe. And that's obviously not in effect, so not all of the mod packs are in effect. But there's one with like a pizza fish. I know that I'll show you guys when I get in the house. If we go to settings, and then how to play, so I was hoping that this would show like information for add-ons, and it does a little bit, as I'm going to show you. So if we scroll all the way down, and yes, I did go through like a bunch of these to see if anything had changed. It didn't, I don't think. Maybe I missed stuff. But if we go down here, it has the bestiary. So it has these different mobs listed. I haven't run into any, but I haven't been in a place to run into any. Like this one's only in mountains, which I think I might be near a mountain, but I don't know. I don't know where this one spawns. Apparently in fire, I think. That might be another mob. This one's a pillager, and then these two are water mobs. So those are most likely in the game, and this just tells you what a resource pack is. But I don't know which ones are active. We have a couple of mod ones. We have the chairs one, which is obviously in. And then a couple of shaders, which I don't know which shader is in use. Realms has been really laggy for me, and that's probably a good example. I don't know if it's going to break soon or not. I don't know if that's part of some resource pack. I have no idea. Oh, there's a kitten. I still don't know really what the plan is, if we're going to have a shopping district, if we're going to do things communally, if we're supposed to build bases, if they want us to use the chairs mod or something, which I have never played with modded Minecraft. There are very few things in modded Minecraft that appeal to me. New mobs that don't really do much appeals to me a lot. Before horses were added, all my friends were like showing me all the horses mods. So this is my first experience, and it's very confusing because I don't I don't know what mods are in use, because if I were to add this, I would like very heavily research like exactly what it is. Like one of the mods that might be in here is a pizza fish is part of it, and pickle cats, or pickle cats from the next update, but picklins, I don't know, I feel like this is gonna go horribly. Oh my. Okay. 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 So we are in a warped forest, and that is perfect other than the Enderman. And how, like, weird it is. That is so cool, though. But mostly I'm going to be taking these blocks and bringing them back. So this isn't horrible. I'm not prepared for this particular one. Like how there's nothing here and then I would have to bridge over there. I do have a couple of blocks, but I'm not quite ready. But I did want you guys to... And there's a crimson forest right over there. Which, even if it's small, you can still bone meal on the Nilium and get stuff. So, yeah, I think because I'm a dum-dum, I'm going to put blocks all the way around it. Try not to stare at any Endermen, because that's scary. Again, not prepared to face Endermen. But this is good. I might build a little house around this. Cords are added now. I just noticed that. I'm so used to having cords on. Figured out how to do the nether stuff. Honestly, these roads, I do not dislike them. Like, they go in good places. I probably wouldn't leave this connected, but it needs a lot of terraforming to cover up the holes and stuff. Make them a little less steep. So that's something that we definitely have to do, but I do want to go into my testing world and figure out a couple of designs. I have them very much so in my head, and I'm also starting to get a little worried that quartz might be too expensive, but piglins will trade it. I just need to get gold. And I could also make a zombie piglin farm, or a zombified piglin farm. So we can also test that out in the testing world and see how it works. We can find a spot for it, put it there, get some gold, and trade the gold with the non-zombified piglins. And bada bing, bada boom, quartz. My poor nitwit. So, I'm going to leave the world, and let's go to the testing world. Hello world, welcome to the testing world. This is the block palette that I set out. So we have the crimson variants and the warped variants. This is off-center. I just noticed that. I don't know why I did not before. But we have some stone stuff and some quartz things. Because first off, I'm worried about quartz being expensive, and second, this is just slightly more muted. So blocks with this, or buildings with this, are more likely to stand out than buildings with this. Important buildings will probably use quartz, and then industrial sort of buildings will use this. One of my ideas was sort of like a super efficient work environment and having like bunks in an area close to, like, in the same building as where the person works. So I don't really know how to explain all of this. My brain's already pretty fried, which it normally is, but it especially is now, and I don't know why. I think I'm gonna do some mock-ups and some plans and some ideas, because I think I might even want to change, like, the ground to the Nilium instead, or maybe even, because I do want to ask if anybody has found a mining desert, like a desert that we can use for mining. So nobody's like living in the desert and then we're just destroying it. Also the same with the gravel biome. My idea was that I could use this as a ground instead, or like mix this in a bit. That's too bright. That's not helping the situation. And then just sort of have it. I don't know. we can see. I also have access to mycelium, so that could work. My secondary idea for this, when I was thinking about doing it on the other world instead, my idea was sort of like a UFO crash landing and then aliens just sort of inhabiting that little island, which doesn't work when it's just in a plains biome, but having it be a little alien, probably not bad, but I think because it's Mysticalcraft, there's all sorts of mystical things in there, I think we're going to go for a more fantasy and fairy sort of a look than an alien look. I'm going to leave this here and start working on some builds. Bye guys! Hello world! So here we are in the same place. I'm trying not to show everything yet. But after many, many hours and many different plan changes, I think I have a design that I like. I'm not exactly certain. I'm not absolutely ready to build it this second, because there's still a couple of things that I'm not sure about, but I feel like they can be worked out in the moment. So, here we go. Most of it is in crimson, but at the last second I decided to change it all to warped, because I think that works better with a futuristic style, and with a bit more of a color scheme that I wanted to go with. So, this was the first thing that I did. This is just a large circle so that I could figure stuff out, because what I really wanted is towers with orbs that are sort of set in them. So this one was sort of an inorganic thing, just a tower with a possibly organic orb, and then this was supposed to be a tree with an orb in it. But the more I thought about it, because this is supposed to be a village, the more I realized that a lot of this space is unusable. Just because of the way that orbs work and spheres. So I went back to the drawing board, and this was me trying to make that trunk look a little bit more organic. Always forget to grab a sword. But this was actually the second design, and I like the a little bit more eerie, inorganic sort of a feel. I think this was a different size circle, a little bit smaller to start off with so that I could go straight up. And I came up with this design, which originally was sort of a pyramid design, and then turned into a circle because it took a lot more. There was, again, a lot less usable space in a pyramid design. So I came up with this sort of like hanging thing. And it's sort of an interesting idea. It looked really cool, but it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. So then I tried a couple of things. I started again, made another tree trunk, and you guys have already seen it. This is like, I call it the hamburger design. I don't know what it's actually called, but maybe there is no name for it. It's been used a couple of times, but I quite like it. The more I see it, the more I'm not sure if I like how this is a slab wide and not a block, but I don't know. But it's just this, and I do have to explain that there's both warped stem and stripped warp stem here, and there's white stained glass panes and cyan, because I couldn't really decide and I wanted to see how they looked. I think I'm still really on the fence about the stem. I quite like the white stained glass, and that's great because that's going to be easier to get. It's just bone meal, which I will get a lot of from the warped wart block. So if we go up to the top, this is supposed to be a tree. So I have made these stems. There's no leaves on the top, but just with leaves on them. And I think that with the top of it be about block 30, or the underside, like right here, block 30 or so. It's a little bit lower because there's 4 blocks and it's super flat. But having something like that will make a pretty cool canopy over everything, sort of seclude it, especially on the Y coordinate, which is heavily used. And I think that would be cool, and it looks a little bit more like a tree. We have the roots at the bottom, and these at the top. This would be a tree toward the front, so it would be shorter. There will be ones that will be about 10 or 15 blocks taller further back. This is where a second tree would be, and there would be a path probably from this one, and then it goes down slightly and goes into this tree. I don't know how I want the path to be. That's one of the issues that I had. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to formulate where the villagers go, how you get in here, stuff, where lighting is, a lot of other things. But it took me hours and hours and a lot of frustration to try and figure out how I wanted this. And I think that I am at a place where I am happy with it. And I can go back into Mysticalcraft and start figuring out the resources and what I'm going to need for these. And probably start terraforming and plotting out so that I can get this nice city going. Because it looks mystical. One of the things that I might ask is if they either do or can put in a fairy light mod, because that would bring this whole thing together. I have never used a fairy light mod, but I've wanted to. Wanted to many times. But just sometimes enjoy the constraints of vanilla, but if it's going to be modded, I really like how this looks. I'm gonna have to look at a tree more because there's like not gonna be leaves in this area, and I don't know if that's how a tree works. I don't know, maybe branches come off this way a little more. This is cool. I really love it. I really love how it came out. Also, everything I'm doing feels like I'm taking from Hermitcraft, like the futuristic sort of build that's around a natural structure, the trees, everything. But I wanted to do nether trees since the nether update was announced, and I love futuristic and like fairy mystical designs, and I just absolutely love these new colors. I just need to figure out how to use them better, and it's going to take me quite a bit because I can barely use the palette that we already have. It is really cool how like ideas that I've always wanted to have. This season of Hermitcraft has really helped me figure out how one makes that. Like, I wouldn't have figured this out without watching Iskill's videos about how he did the trees, or the paths that I have in mind. Scarred's base this season really helped. I don't know what to say about the hamburgers. Yes, there are definitely going to be some that are higher up on the trees, some are only going to have one. Maybe one might have 3, maybe one really tall one. Because this is only 26 blocks tall. So there are some that are going to go this high. I might come back here to work on lighting or a path or something like that. I think that the strip looks pretty good, but we'll see when we get there. So let's switch back to Mysticalcraft and start getting the resources that we need for this gigantic city. Hello world, welcome back to Mysticalcraft. So right now, I just sort of wanted to show you guys, I haven't made a bunch of progress, but I wanted to show you guys my plans for where everything is going to go. So you can see I was originally going to make stuff here, but you can't really see the cool part of the hill that we really wanted to embrace. I was also thinking maybe we might change that to be made out of blackstone and Nellium or something, but here's the angle. And we can still get it from quite a ways. So this area is where we're going to build. Probably from here and outward. A bit of a curve so that it doesn't look absolutely straight. And I'll probably keep adding on to this. Adding gardens and farms and all sorts of different things, which can be used with those little plots. I am super excited. There's a couple of things that I do want to change about here. A bit of a way up, taking this down a bit, because it's mostly only one thick and there's that weird bit that doesn't look natural. Like, this looks unnaturally natural. Around this, there's a bit of a hill. It kind of comes around here and around there a little bit. So I want this on level 64, which is here. So I'm going to take stuff back, like I'm going to take this down and stuff. Not this hill, but eventually like this stuff I'm going to taper down so that we can get to the 64 level that we want, so that it's really that this is the highlight and that this is kind of above everything else. And the canopy is going to go over top it by about 10 or 15 blocks. So that should look really cool. There is trees up there. I was planning on maybe making a bit of a house. I'm not sure if we're still going to do that or not. I might make some of the hamburgers, like one hamburger in the middle. I'm not sure. But I think that it's really cool to have this here and the fact that I can do stuff. But the trees are going to have to be like here and here. So I'm going to work on bringing... well, first I'm going to mine a little bit more so I have some more materials. But then I'm going to work on bringing everything down so that from 64, which we're not even at, from 64, oh my goodness, from 64 you can clearly see it, because that's the level that people are going to enter. That, I'm going to leave you guys here so that I can get a bunch more stuff, hopefully enchanted stuff. So I will see you guys in the next clip.